Hey guys. So I'm going to show you today how to use equation editor in both Word and PowerPoint. And if you're wondering, well, this is not really student-centered. Well, it really depends on how you use it, right? Um, first of all, it will make everything that you type mathematically look 100% more professional. It does all the formatting for you, and it formats it the way that textbooks format it. So that your variables are italicized, but functions like a sine or a logarithm, it understands that those are functions and doesn't italicize those, for example. And PowerPoint in particular, this is really useful for any time that you want to post a lesson online. So if you want to post a video of a lesson, perhaps for students who are absent, for students who need remediation, or it's great for use on inclement weather days too. So it's kind of all in how you use it. But what I have found is that not a lot of teachers know how to really use this effectively. A lot of people know it's there, but they don't know how to use it super effectively. So I'm just going to kind of jump into that. So in the discussion board post, I've also attached a list that I used. I led a professional learning on this for my county last year, and I kind of generated this list of all these different functions that kind of appear kind of all over in high school mathematics, but basically there's code. There's code that you can use in Word to very quickly generate your equations. So first of all, to do equation editor, if you are on a PC, you're going to want to hit Alt and then the equal sign. If you are on a Mac, as I am here at home, you're going to want to hit Control and then the equal sign, and it will bring up equation editor for you. Now there's another little trick that I'm going to show you right quick in case you happen to have your hand on the mouse and not on the keyboard when you want to pull it up. Up here in the quick access toolbar, you can put whatever things you use a lot up here. So I insert comments a lot to make answer keys. I do editing marks just to make sure that one of my coworkers didn't hit 37 spaces into a document and actually use tabs and whatnot. But if I go here and I want to, you can have, the icon for a new document up here. You can jump to the file menu up here. I want equation editor on my quick access toolbar. So your screen will look something like this here. There's a lot of popular commands here. You can do the insert a comment from here. You can put save or print up there, and you can take them off as well. If you click something you don't want up there, you can just hit the little arrow and then remove it. I'm going to go to the insert tab. There's all these different things that you can just put, so they're always one click away, regardless of which little tab you're in Word. These are in alphabetical order. I want to insert new equation. Pi to the rescue. I'm going to put that down here so it's right at the end. It's easy to reach. And now whenever I click that in Word, the same thing as hitting Alt equals. So obviously in equation editor, we've got all this cool stuff up here, which if you haven't used this before, pause the video, pull up Word, play. There's so much cool stuff in here. You've got all your functions and whatnot, which you can just type as well if you know how to type them. You've got all these symbols over here on the left as well, and you can click this little drop down, and oh my gosh, they just keep going. So much good stuff. If you teach geometry, there's some highlights down here at the end with angles and measured angles. There's the therefore symbol for proofs and whatnot. You can get some all real numbers with a fancy R. All kinds of good stuff. Set theory, triple integrals if you teach multivariable calculus, Greek letters. But what I want to emphasize specifically is that all this stuff is there, but if you hover over any of these symbols, whether in the drop down here or just up here, a little thing will pop up. Let me go back to where I just had it a moment ago. No. Where it will pop up with how to type something. So if I hovered for just a second over the division symbol, for example, in parentheses, it says \div. And what that is telling me is that when I'm typing an equation, if I type that \div and then I hit the spacebar key, oh, okay. So this is how you get all the symbols. You can click them from the menus and that's fine. But if you really want to embrace all of what's here, I recommend that you go through and spend some time learning the codes that go with what you teach, because it's going to save you from stopping every time you want to do something and coming up here and clicking the thing. So I'll show you an example. I am a calculus teacher. I use a lot of limits. I never come up here and click limit, though. Here's what I do. It's much faster with my hands on the keyboard to say lim, and I hit the space bar and it says, oh, limit, that's a function. We don't want to italicize that. And then below that, I need to have my x approaching something. So I need to have something below what I just typed with limit. So I'm going to say backslash below. Everything is backslashes. I'm going to open a parenthesis and it's going to give me this weird T thing. We're just going to roll with it. And I'm going to say x, and I want to say x is approaching infinity. So for approaching, I need an arrow pointing to the right. So I'm going to do backslash right arrow space. And then I want to approach infinity. And so it says up here that my code for infinity is INFTY. And you can customize these codes too. You really can go kind of bananas with this stuff. There's all kind of good stuff in here. So approaching infinity, you don't have to hit space. I'm going to close the parentheses anyway. So when I do that, it'll turn it into an infinity for me. And then I can hit the space bar and there it goes below. Amazing. Now let's say, so I'm looking at a limit as x approaches infinity here. I'm talking about end behavior. So I want a rational function, right? Let's say I'm teaching my students about the shortcut that it turns into the ratio. So I want a rational function. I need something on top and something on bottom. So let's say I'm going to have 3x squared minus 7 on top, / because now I'm doing division. And then on bottom, I'm going to say 4x squared minus x plus 5. Why not? So notice that I put both the numerator and denominator in parentheses. The parentheses aren't going to print in this final form when I hit the space bar in a second. It's just telling it, okay, put everything before this on top, everything after this on the bottom. Now when I hit space, watch what happens. Cool. Very cool. If you really want parentheses, you can go put them back again, or you could use a double set of parentheses. That's fine. And I can, as I move my cursor around, kind of notice how the highlight changes. Right? If I hit the right arrow, it tells me, okay, I'm now outside of the limit. And then I just want to say that that equals simple fraction 3/4. So it doesn't, it works for simple numbers as well. If I want to pop that into the vertical, I just hit the space bar and there it goes. So I did all of that without touching the mouse. There's so much power in that, right? I could have gone up there and I could have clicked limit. I could have clicked fraction. And I could have clicked script every time I wanted exponents, but I don't have to do any of that. And it's so much faster not to do any of that. If I want x squared, I just type x caret 2. The caret is if you hit shift and then 6. And then space bar. Or even if I don't hit space bar and I just kind of keep going, x squared, plus 2x minus 3. And it kind of knows that, okay, the 2 on the square is where that exponent is going to stop. If I want more stuff up there, I can just use some parentheses and say the 2 minus e power. Sure. Spacebar. There it goes. So there's all different types of functions and whatnot you can do. You can do exponents. You can do subscripts. You can do an integral. You can do a definite integral. So going back to calculus, yes, but I want an integral. And if I just hit spacebar here, it'll give me an indefinite integral. I want a definite integral. I want an integral with a lower limit of a and an upper limit of b. So the underscore that I typed in front of the a is going to kind of pop it down into a subscript. And that caret on b, just like with the exponents, is going to put it up into a superscript. If I hit space, boom, beautiful. So nice, right? So let's say that I'm having to remind my students one more time about what the slope is. You would be surprised how often that keeps coming up in calculus. Okay, slope. Change in y over change in x. Cool. So if I do subscripts, y2 minus y underscore 1, close parentheses, and that's going to be on top. X underscore 2 minus x underscore 1, close parentheses, and spacebar. Magic. Now, here's another cool thing that it can do. Let's say I want to emphasize to my students, a little more sophisticated notation. I want to say, well, it's just change in y over change in x, and I want to use delta. I can go to that drop back down at the top of the screen and I can click delta, and I could do it that way a couple times, or I can say \delta space y over \delta space x. Beautiful. So cool. So that works for the entire Greek alphabet. I could do delta, I could do pi, I could do theta, all the good stuff. Now you will notice, let me do that again. Delta, I said capital D, and I got the familiar triangle. Whereas if I were to type lowercase delta, I'd get a lowercase delta. If I do lowercase pi, I get the lowercase pi that we use. If I do uppercase pi, that's the other guy. So it is very much case sensitive, and it does work for the entire alphabet. So if for some reason you want to do uppercase alpha and not just type the A key, you can do that. But anyway, the whole alphabet's in there. You can use it for, set notation. You could even type matrices, which is, I've got on the sheet there that you can look into. I really think for matrices, it is really more efficient just to use the mouse and pull up the matrix. And the same goes for piecewise functions. You can define x as a piecewise function, and once you get everything typed in there and done, it will expand your bracket over here to match what is in here, which is just so great. But anyway, there's all kinds of commands on the sheet. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with this, and like I said, it works. It also works in our friend PowerPoint. So I can type, I can do my limit here. And do all of that here as well. So, the possibilities for what you do with Word and PowerPoint are endless. And I know that most teachers, when you're at school, right, a lot of folks tend to use whatever software came with whatever presentation technology you have in your room, whether you have a smartboard, whether you have a Promethean and you have ActivInspire. A lot of folks tend to stick with whatever software their district has pushed them to use with whatever your board is, or your tablet, or whatever you have, your projector. I really like to use PowerPoint anytime I'm writing a lesson at home. I really use it in general for pretty much everything now, but PowerPoint's never going away. PowerPoint always works. There's lots of different ways to record PowerPoint. You could use Screencast-O-Matic. You could use PowerPoint Mix. But basically what you choose to use this for, what kind of lessons you use this for, that's entirely up to you. You could make this be extremely student-centric, and you can have you can use pre-recorded PowerPoints. You can turn them into YouTube videos, and you can flip the classroom. You can have remediation videos. You can have students create their own videos and show them how to do this. It's really up to you. I know that this is a huge time saver for me to use Equation Editor, and it makes things look just so much more professional rather than typing it manually and manually hitting that you want a superscript or a subscript or italics, and then you don't want italics on some things. It just knows how you want to type it. It knows math, and that to me is really powerful. So thanks for watching, guys.